Let me know how the audio sounds.
Let me know how the audio sounds.
Well, we're gonna have to fix that.
Let me know how the audio sounds. Well, we're gonna have to fix that. Let me know how the audio sounds. Well, we're gonna have to fix that. Let me know how the audio sounds. Well, we're gonna have to fix that.
Hopefully that fixed that. Can you guys hear me? It's coming over clear now? Fantastic, thank you. So it looks like we got a lot of folks already signed in, and I'm trying to run, sorry, I'm looking over here, I'm trying to run a laptop as well so I can see the comments a bit better. And we'll see how that works out. Let's see, I see we got Wisconsin Woodsman, Smooth Piper, Desert Pine Piper, Dominic Petrozelli, Roy Goddard, Pipeful, Yardism, Blue Dog. Really happy to see all you guys. More names than I can go through, and they're coming in fast. There's Pipe Tree. We're up to 77 already. Guys, I'd love to shout out each and every one of you, but I'm just not going to be able to do it. There's just too many names going by too quickly. And I want to thank you all, and I want to welcome you to this event. I got a huge outpouring of contributions, and I'm going to tell you all about those, and you're going to hear all of them. We actually have one live guest that we'll be getting to shortly, maybe in about 15 minutes. I just want as many folks as possible to join, and we'll kind of let things settle down, and then we'll get into the sort of the meat of what we're going to be doing tonight. But I got this whole packet here of things I want to read to you, and I've got audio files, and like I said, one live guest. So we got a lot to do, and I wanted to start off just by showing you this. This is really beautiful. I wish I knew how I could put this up in the video somehow, but I just don't know how to do that. This is a photo that was taken by our friend Ollie, who is from Chicago, and he actually set that all up. And I don't know if you can see, but that's a Zippo lighter with the tree of life in it, and it's lit, and the flame is there. I think that's just a beautifully composed picture. And he sent this and asked me to use it if I could. I wish I could have inserted it in the video somehow so you could really see how beautiful it is. But what I did was I used it to make it a cover for my documents for tonight. So thank you for that, Ollie. It's very much appreciated. So, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about what I want to do tonight, and I want to really stress that this isn't about me. This is about all of you. It's about us. And it's about John, of course. And the reason I thought this was important is I've just been thinking a lot about how hard it is for us to deal with these sorts of things. And it kind of, I'm gonna digress a little bit here, and just bear with me. I was reading a lot of social media posts about Kobe Bryant and the tragedy that happened around him. And what was very commonly being said was, people were saying in social media, were saying, I can't believe I'm so upset about someone I've never met. And I thought, that's interesting, but if you feel that, if you actually feel sad, you're sad. It doesn't matter if you've met the person or not. Now, in our case, it's different. In our case, we all but physically met John for the most part. We knew him. We spent a lot of time with him. And I think the problem for us is that we don't have anybody to really share that with. I joke about our real lives. This YouTube is real, but every day we have to go to work and we have to deal with our families and everything. And for the most part, the people we interact with don't know what we're going through, and that makes it really tough. So I was hoping that tonight could be a way that we could just kind of share what our experiences were, have some laughs, and just use it as a way to not say goodbye, but to say farewell, in the hopes that we're someday going to meet again in that big brick and mortar up in the sky. So I hope you guys are with me on that. The comments are going by way too fast for me to really keep track of them. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through all of these contributions that came from, as you'll see, all over the world. And I don't feel a need tonight to fill every moment of this evening with words. There's going to be times when I just sort of want to sit with something and let it sink in, and I want you guys to sit with it as well and just think about it. We'll take what time we need, and if you guys have to leave, I understand that. The replay will be there. You know, you can catch it whenever you want. I do have some special stuff towards the end, so I hope if you can't hang around for the whole thing, you'll at least be able to catch that on the replay, because I think you'll enjoy that. So that's really sort of laying the groundwork right now, and I'm gonna talk a little bit and let you guys talk a little bit until about 8:15 or so, and then we'll really jump in. So what do I got here? I've got the same Savinelli that I told you about the other day with the broken stem. I glued it. It's smoking fine, so I'm just going to keep smoking it until it was going to sit in a drawer until I made a stem for it. I'd much rather be able to smoke the thing, even though it's probably not going to last too long. I just super glued it back together, but we'll see how it lasts. And we've got Haunted Bookshop. This is Haunted Bookshop. It's in a Carter Hall container, but it is filled with probably about 12 ounces of Haunted Bookshop left in there. So we can go for 12 ounces of Haunted Bookshop tonight. I also have another highball, and quite a few people asked last time about the highballs. Highballs, as far as I know, are ginger ale, and you know, I chose ginger ale because that was John's drink, and they have some spirit in them. I have always thought of them as a whiskey drink, but apparently you can make them with anything, you know, rum or gin or whatever. I've always used whiskey, and it's the only mixed drink I know how to make. So, and I've been drinking that tonight with this Two Gingers Irish whiskey, and this was suggested to me by our friend Zach, who is Pipes and Chores on YouTube. He suggested it as a good whiskey for making highballs, and it actually is. It's very, very good. Yeah, they were popular when I was a kid. In fact, I'll have to do a video someday about my early drinking days, because my grandparents used to like to slip me a drink now and then, and the highball was their drink. So I have a lot of fond memories of highballs. And I guess just one more piece of sort of housekeeping. I really don't want to turn this into anything about me or an advertisement or anything, but people asked, and I do want to let you know that I am going to be doing a weekly live stream now, and I'm going to try to do it in this time slot from probably 8 to 9 on Fridays. And I want to do that, for one, because I want to kind of have more of that sort of social interaction that we had with John. I want to try to continue that legacy for him. And also I want to try to sort of protect that block of time from 7 to 8. So by starting at 8, I'm hoping that'll provide some buffer. Go watch John's videos from 7 to 8, and then you can come see me. Anyway, I'll tell you more about that on Sunday. I didn't want to turn this into an ad, but people were asking, so I just wanted to let you know about it. And I hope a lot of you guys will be able to join me. Well, this is fantastic. We're up to 154 folks. And I'm sorry, I got to wait just a little bit longer because I scheduled the first phone call. So I can't start until it's time to make that call. So how is everyone doing, and what are you guys smoking and or drinking out there? How much do you charge? We're not talking about that tonight. Oh, is Sarge out there? Hello, Sarge. 626 Ellie, rum and coke in Northern Ireland. Well, that's fantastic, Derek, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, Luke is deploying Wednesday. Wow, that's you're going to Japan, right, Luke? That is that's quite exciting. And he's having whiskey in a pipe. Good man. Sarge is at work, Diet Coke. Well, good luck with that, Luke. You'll have to keep us posted. Hopefully you'll be able to do some videos from there. Haunted bookshop and drinking water. Very good. Pipe while shoveling snow, Christian. That must have been fun. Ginger ale and Jameson. Wow, with lime. Yeah, that's actually another point about the highballs. They often will have a slice of lime or lemon. I never do that because that's too fancy for me. So a lot of haunted bookshop being consumed tonight, and that's a good thing. Sweet tea and Carter Hall sounds like a good combination. Plum cake. Great. Well, it seems like there's a lot of guys really enjoying a drink and a smoke tonight, and that's wonderful. A wonderful thing to do in John's honor. So I think I saw Padre Piper out there. Padre, it's a bit earlier than I thought. Are you ready? All right, fantastic. So, just put this down. As you might have guessed from that, our first guest is going to be our good friend Padre Piper. And I think I've worked out all the technical details of this. I'm going to attempt to call him and have the audio come through on your end. So you'll have to give me a thumbs up once this starts and let me know if it's actually working. So we'll...
Well, good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello, Padre. I can hear you just fine.
Wonderful.
How does that sound out there, guys? Loud and clear. So that is fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you being our first guest tonight, Padre.
I appreciate you asking me, my friend, and it's so good to see so many folks online tonight enjoying the Friday evening as we continue to remember our friend Matches860. I mean, it's just incredible. We're at 166 folks watching right now, and it's a true testament to the man that he was and the man that he remains, even in his physical passing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's really just a remarkable outpouring. And as you'll see as the night goes on, the thoughts that people have shared, it's really quite touching.
Yeah.
So Padre, I was wondering, just to kind of get us off on the right foot, would you be willing to lead us in a short prayer?
Oh, I'd be very happy to. I would be very happy to. So let us pray. Almighty God, we come before you this evening as we continue to remember and pay tribute to our friend John. Lord, we know that you are a God of comfort, and your word, in fact, reminds us that you are the source of mercy and all consolation. And so we ask you, Lord, to continue to comfort especially John's family and his closest friends, but each and every one of us who, as we've said over and over again, even if we've never met him in person, we loved him for the person that he was. So, Lord, we give thanks to you for his life. We offer thanks, Lord, for this community of ours and for the technology that allows us to connect tonight and at all times in the YTPC. Lord, be with us in our time, and may all that we say and do this evening be pleasing in your sight. And we pray this in your blessed name, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Padre. That was really beautiful. And I also wanted to thank you for the live stream you did last week. You know, that was very beautiful, and I think that was at a time when we just really needed to sort of sit with what had happened and spend some time praying. And I think it helped a lot of us to get to the point where we are tonight, where we can start to share stories about John and feel more comfortable with that.
You know, it's interesting you say that to be able to get to a point where we can share, because I know, you know, from the moment that word broke, some people were able to do that, and that's a wonderful thing. And others of us still haven't really been able to talk about it on our channels. In fact, for me, I think it's fitting. You know, the tribute we did last week was a silent devotion. There were some bells and such, but I think it's fitting that I have an opportunity to speak with you and virtually with everyone else who's in the house tonight, because for me, that's what John was. He was a connector. In fact, I think of Mark VV, who I've been making some videos with over on BRTV. He and I live within the same city and never knew each other, except because John was able to actually, tell one another through Facebook, hey, you guys are in the same city. Y'all need to have a pipe together. So, you know, for me to be able to remember John and pay tribute to him, this is the way to do it in connection with all these folks, these fine folks. 172 of them right now watching.
Yes, well, that's amazing. I think that actually might be more than John had on his record live stream. So that just really shows you how many people are, you know, willing to share their love of the man.
We'll have to go to Phil at Briar Report, who I believe keeps these statistics as well as most baseball statistics as well.
Oh, we'll have to check in with him. So I understand you have a story that I'm really looking forward to, because it's sort of going to be some behind the scenes information about one of John's most loved video series.
It actually is, and I'm going to tell you, before I tell you the story, I'm going to tell you that although I love the video series we're about to talk about, my absolute favorite video of his, and I wish I knew the name and the date, because I would send people out to watch it, but somebody may know what I'm referencing. He tells the story of going on a date with a gal he refers to as a boat anchor. And if you have never seen that video, find it. I wish, again, I knew the title and the time frame to tell you to go look on his channel, but it's one of the funniest stories Match has ever told. But the one I think we're probably all so familiar with is the one I wanted to share with you tonight, and that's what became the annual 4th of July tradition of smoking the baconed old-fashioned pipe tobacco from Briar Works. And I'm a little hesitant and perhaps even almost ashamed to admit that I was the source of that tobacco. But what got me to thinking this week was to go back, and I knew I could find the communication because he and I talked about it through Facebook Messenger back in July of 2016. So I printed it out, and if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is just to read you a little bit of our personal messaging back and forth about this.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
So here's how it started. 10:07 on the night of July 15th, I had sent a message over to him, and I said, hey, a few questions. Are you by any chance Jewish or Muslim? And do you have any allergies to pigs or pork? I said, odd questions, I know, and, well, I'm an odd guy, LOL. I'll fill you in on why I'm asking after you answer. And I put parenthetically in the suspense builds. And he got back to me the next morning at 6:10, and he says, was raised Presbyterian, sorry. No allergies to pigs or pork. And so I got back to him later that morning and said, then you, my friend, are the chosen one if you want to be. And I go on to explain to him, I said about 8 months ago or so, Briarworks came out with a couple of new blends, one of which was called Bacon Old Fashioned. And I figured, hey, that sounds like fun. It wasn't fun. I smoked it once, and I thought it was atrocious. In fact, it actually had a bacon flavor, but horrible. I put it aside and said, wait a few months, give it some time, it'll calm down with age. Well, to my taste, it still sucks. I would love to send it to you, John, to try. I'm fairly certain you're going to find it to be an atrocity, but if you don't, well, then smoke away. If you do, pass it on to some other poor sucker. Make sure they're not Muslim or Jewish, and that they don't have a pig allergy. And I said, with the FDA deeming on the horizon, we're about to lose the chance to try new things and have a little fun, realizing how horrible. I lost my place here. How horrible some of them are. So. If you're interested, please let me know, and Porky will be on his way to you. So he writes back, he says, oh my, bacon tobacco. That's a new one. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting here, I'm sitting on a ton of miscellaneous stuff myself, which I'll trade for the bacon. I have your address, so there's no ifs, ands, or buts. So we finally got that over to him. There was a little bit of a delay, and I had to let him know on the 20th. I finally got the package out to him, and he responded, oh boy, I can't wait. Bacon, bacon, bacon. And then he says, the bacon has arrived. It is truly disgusting. But thank you for adding the other fine tobaccos in the package. And I said, well, how did you smoke it? How was it? He said, well, the jar note's not too bad, sort of citrusy. Putting a match to it's another story. And here's the beauty. He says, this will make for an interesting review on YouTube. And I don't think when he wrote that to me, I don't think he truly understood how epic that first video and those follow-up videos of smoking the bacon old-fashioned in July was going to be. I mean, it's one of the things his channel's probably best known for, and it's just absolutely hilarious to watch those. And it's almost bringing a tear to my eye just reading through these old texts, and I just want to thank you for letting me share that story tonight. It's just something I'll never forget as long as I'm alive. That the facial expressions, the contortions as he smoked through that atrocity of a tobacco. And it's got to be, I haven't looked at it, but it's got to be those videos, especially that first one, probably have to have some of the highest plays on his channel. I can't imagine it wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, I probably watched them each 4 or 5 times myself. So. Well, that is fantastic, Padre, and yeah, we never knew that side of the story, so it's.
The funny thing about that, not ha-ha funny, but just kind of how life plays out, is about a week or so prior to John's passing, Mark and I were recording. Mark Phoebe and I were recording for our little BRTB series that we've been doing, and that story came up, and I was telling him, I said, last time I talked to him, I'd gotten the feeling that he had just given up on that tobacco. He wasn't going to do the annual July 4th anymore. And Mark says, well, maybe we can get him to ship it back down here, and the two of us can do it on BRTV. That would be a fate worse than hell right there. But it's just so funny how that popped up, just days prior to John's heavenward passing.
Yeah, that would have been quite an interesting occurrence if it got back.
Yeah, I don't think I could have done it, quite honestly. But I don't think Mark's ever had it. So, if he wanted to do it, God bless him. And I hope I'm not offending anybody out there who says, what are they talking about? That's like my favorite backy.
Yeah. It's odd. It's the one tobacco that I've never heard well, there's one exception, actually. John ultimately sent it off to the Artful Codger, and he said it was fine.
What backy was that?
It was the remains of the bacon old fashioned John sent to Ben.
You're kidding. Artful Codger actually consumed it and enjoyed it?
That's my memory. I mean, he might want to dispute that.
I hope he's in the house tonight and can chime in and confirm that for us. Yeah. Of course, he does like velvet, so.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I know a lot of folks like velvet. It's just not something I've ever been able to take a liking to. But that's so fun. And listen, that's the beauty of our community and our hobby is everybody's got their own individual taste, and that's part of the wonderful part of all this thing is the diversity and the fact that I can find something and share it with you because I just think it's the greatest thing, and you're going to be like, well, it's adequate, it's average, or that was horrible, or I'm with you, that was great. Everybody's got their own taste buds.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, Padre, I want to thank you again. It's really been fun. I really enjoyed that story, and I think the folks watching enjoyed it as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to join us tonight.
The blessing is mine, my friend. And to everyone out there, you guys have a great evening, a great weekend, and what a beautiful honor tonight that we can keep John's memory alive. Continue your prayers for his family and his friends. And again, Kane Rod Piper, thank you for having me on with you this evening, my brother. God bless.
Absolutely. God bless you, Padre.
Good night.
Good night. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, I really was looking forward. I didn't know the story. I just knew that Padre was going to tell us the story of how John got the bacon old fashioned, and I was greatly looking forward to that because that's such a funny video series. And a couple people, Christian and a few other people, mentioned in the comments. Sorry, Bone and Piper. That the video Padre was referring to is called The Girlfriend, and I do recall that is a hilarious video as well. So if you're looking for classic John comedy, those are definitely ones to look for. So I got quite a few written stories, and I want to share all these with you. I'm going to share everything that I got because people took the time to write it. And like I said, we're going to take our time with this. If you guys can't stay, the replay will be available, and that's fine too. But I want to give everybody a chance to have their story heard because that's what this is all about. So I've got several email submissions here, and the first set they're all unique, but in various ways they all speak to really the basic and very unique appeal that John had. John was a guy who made you feel comfortable just by saying hello. And that's sort of a theme that runs through, at least to me, these first few stories. So in each case, I'm gonna call out the person that sent it. I want you to pay attention to where the people come from because that's an interesting part of this as well, just how widespread John's reach was. And I should probably move the microphone back up here. So the first story is from Wayne Robbins, and Wayne refers to himself as a lurker from Central PA. And I had the opportunity to talk to Wayne recently, and he's a great guy. Really enjoyed talking to him. So Wayne writes, "The first video I saw of Matches860 was two guys in a garage. I clicked on it thinking they would be working on something. Instead, they were smoking vintage half and half. Then I found out it was a two-part show. That's how I saw my first Sarge video. Then one day I sent an email and he responded back. And after a couple of emails, we talked on the phone. I got a lot of pipe and tobacco information that day. From watching other videos, we all had the same experience. I'm envious of those who knew him personally and could call him friend, or as Sarge would say, brother. I wish to express my deepest sympathies to his family and friends." So thank you, Wayne. That is beautiful. And, I think we're all a bit envious of the folks that got to know John personally. But again, he had that ability to interact with you at a level where you always felt like you knew him personally. The next one is from Kathy and Steve Ennis from Oklahoma. And Kathy writes, while neither of us got the chance for direct interaction with him, we enjoyed his videos that were both informative and educational. But even more than that, Steve especially enjoyed the ones where he just talked and reminisced about his younger days. He says it felt like he found a kindred spirit because there were so many similarities to their childhood. We will really miss that. In fact, he's been going back and rewatching many of them in the past couple of days, and he will definitely be missed in this community. And yeah, of course, we agree with that. That was something that I really enjoyed about John. He was a bit older than me, but we had some similar experiences growing up. We were not that distant in time that, I couldn't appreciate some of the things that he had gone through and the way he described some of his adventures in high school and things like that. It was a way that I felt connected to him as well. So thank you, Kathy and Steve. That was very nice. Next story comes from Matt. Matt is on YouTube as Root Beer Fan 6, and Matt is from Ohio. And he says, my interactions with Matches was very one-sided. He was one of the first 2 YouTubers that I found to help with my hobby. He was funny, humble, and so relatable. Almost a brother from another mother. His love for burley blends would have to be overlooked. All brothers have weird little quirks. I know, I have 5 of them. Like all of my brothers, he led me to a bad habit. I subscribed to, at last count, 30 pipe smoking channels because of his bad influence. Bad in quotes. Some of those guys have stopped posting lately, but they're still on the list. John shared his storytelling gift with the YTPC and all of the internet, and I bonded with him. So thank you for that, Matt. That was, oh, I'm sorry, there's a bit more. I bonded with him over his love of the outdoors and spooky stories. I never missed any of his videos, but his live streams I had to catch on the reruns. He is and will always be my older brother in the briar. So thank you, Matt. That's really, really nicely put. So this next one actually came in just before I started getting ready. So this is a late edition, if you will. And I hope I didn't miss any other, but I had to, around 7 o'clock, stop checking the email and start getting everything set up here. So this is from Ron. And let's see, Ron says, as of this year, I've been a pipe smoker for 40 years. I'm done chasing blends, and I've settled in with a few favorites and an array of peripheral tobaccos, as I call them. Being a Virginia smoker primarily, the last blend I was looking for was that codger burley that I could rely on. Being disenchanted with the over-the-counter blends, I got curious about Lane Limited Ready Rubbed and did plenty of reading up on it. And the first VR I watched was John's on Lane Limited Ready Rub. First, John starts off the review with one of the best Matches860 intros that he's ever done. Then he says, take a picture. Smoking a rare straight stem pipe, an old K-Woody. Now I primarily smoke straight pipes, so I liked that he was smoking one. Then of course, being the warm-hearted person he was, he gives a shout out to someone in Germany and talks about watching his videos and posted the guy's link in the bucket, trying to help out fellow YTPC members. As he gets talking about the Ready Rubbed, a woodpecker was creating some noise. It was one of his outdoor videos, and John gives it a nice glare. I had to laugh out loud when John was describing the flavors in the tobacco, and he mentions that popsicle stick woody taste that he gets from it, and that he thinks he actually gets that from smoke, and this is a quote, smoking it a little too aggressively. A masterpiece of understatement. John talks about the history of tobacco and about the qualities of it, talking of traveling back in time for a nostalgic smoke. I was sold. I ordered a 14-ounce tub the next day and absolutely loved it from the first pipeful. So tonight, on this, my 59th birthday, I will be with the rest of the YTPC, paying tribute to the man who has touched us all in some way. And I'll be smoking the Savinelli Roma 673 KS that I got on Monday, packed with the Lane Ready Rubbed that John so convincingly sold me on. So thank you, Ron. That's a beautiful story. And, you know, it is interesting to think, and a couple of people have commented on, you know, what a great salesman John was for Savinelli and, and for Cornell and Deal. And, you know, how many people out there have their favorite tobacco or favorite pipe right now because it's one that John talked about. Really amazing to consider. All right, I've got two more short ones, and then we're going to go to another audio. So the next one is from Michael Muirhead, who now on YouTube goes by Battle Creek Briar. And Michael writes, I started smoking a pipe again last summer. I'm 57, and I smoked a pipe in the 80s, then I picked it up again. And YouTube has been a big help, mainly watching you and Holy Smoking Pipe Padre and Spaceman Iron Rails and Pipe Dreams. As for Matches860, I've been watching a lot of his videos before and after his death. The one video that hit me and others is when he talked about mental health and depression. John sure seemed like a regular guy, and also him being a former cigarette smoker, I could relate. I quit cigarettes about 10 years ago, but I have many videos to catch up on and will watch. So thank you, Michael, and you've got, I envy you having all those videos to watch over again for the first time. And the final one in this section is from Matt O. from Boise, Indiana. Boise, Indiana? That doesn't sound right, but that's what I've got here. Matches shared the increasingly rare human quality of being genuine in his words and actions, an authenticity expressed by his altruism, gentlemanly virtue, and building of social bridges between ages, cultures, and experience. Matches' qualities resonate with those who value these attributes in the YTPC. Regrettably, I never personally met Matches. I never personally met Matches, talked with Matches, or emailed Matches. Ours was the modern virtual form of meeting, but I know I will miss him forever. And that's really touching, Matt, and I think that's something that we all agree on. You know, no matter how close you were to John, no matter how well you got to know him, you're going to miss him forever. So I'm just going to take a minute and check out the comments. I'm sorry I can't, my glasses will not let me read this and see the comments at the same time. I apologize for that. It is the ultimate pipe club, isn't it? The YTPC. Absolutely, Padre. It's my pleasure. So we're now going to go to another audio, and this was sent to me by our friend Jeff, who we know as Pipehead Oregon. And Jeff was nice enough to put together a audio file talking about one of his favorite moments. And we'll see how this works. I'm hoping that... Oh, wait a minute. We need to... Had the video down there. Had the audio down, rather.
Audio recording for the Friday night tribute to Matches860, John Harden. I just want to tell a quick, not a story. I'm horrible at telling stories, but I just want to talk about something that I thought was just fun to see. Back 3 years ago in July, I think it was July 4th, he did a video and it was called Review for Bacon Old Fashioned. And in that video, it was just funny to watch him smoke that. We all know John, he even said it, that he can pretty much get through any tobacco. But this one, he said that he's going to try to stay with it and do a review. He said he got it from a very dear friend. 1 year later, he did another video titled the July 4th Challenge. And that's when he said that he got this jar of bacon old-fashioned, Briarworks bacon old-fashioned from Padre Piper. But anyway, in his first video 3 years ago when he tried it, it was just really funny. He was just absolutely not enjoying the smoke, which Matches smokes pretty much anything and can find something good about it. He even commented that I can usually find something good about every tobacco except for this one. So just during the whole video, he just kind of had a downturned mouth, and he was shivering every so often and kind of getting choked up with it. He said it reminds him of the morning after when you've had a long night of drinking and your mouth is just full of cotton. And he said that it tasted like a piece of bacon and that's been in a pail of water too long. It's gone rancid. And then as he kept smoking it, he said it kind of it reminded him then of the boys' locker room just before Christmas break and all the socks that had just built up. And he said it tastes like that. If you can imagine all the dirty gym stuff and add a little mildew, he said. And he said, I wish I could find something good in this. And he made sure he gave us good advice. He says, don't wreck a cob. Or he said, don't wreck a briar. He said, use a cob whenever you're smoking this stuff. He said, well, that's my review of bacon old fashioned. And he looked the camera dead in the eye and said, this stuff sucks. Thanks an awful lot for joining me. Oh, John's a character. And then later on he did a video a year later. He said, I'm going to try this tobacco every year for the next 5 years. So 3 years ago he tried it, and then 2 years ago he tried it. And he said the same thing. He said he just absolutely just couldn't stand it. And I think he actually ended up sending it off to maybe Pipes and Kayaks. And then I think it maybe ended up with Timber Drifter was powering through it. I mean, he was smoking it and not flinching and nothing, but John just did not like it. So I highly suggest you guys do a search for Bacon Old Fashioned. And the second video was the July 4th Challenge from Matches, and you pull those up, and everybody seemed to really enjoy the videos in the comments. John took one for the team, trying to get through a bowl of that stuff, and he did not like it, but he kept smoking it. The things I'll miss most about John, is just watching him light his pipe. I loved when his pipe would go out, because he'd get out his Zippo, he'd flip it open, he'd cant his pipe to kind of meet the cant of his Zippo, because if you got a traditional Zippo, you can't just hold it over it. So he tilts his pipe and he tilts the Zippo and he lights it right up just like an extension of his hand. So really going to miss him. I knew he was getting ready to retire, and I wish that he would have been able to make it to that and spend a lot more time with us, another 20 years with us or something. But anyway, thanks Crane Rod Piper for doing this. My condolences and prayers go to the Harden family, and we'll miss you, John. All right, see you, Kane Rod. See you guys.
Well, thank you, Jeff. That was a great memory, and as we said earlier, that was definitely one of the most loved of John's video series. And the great thing about that is it was linked to the 4th of July, so we can always enjoy the 4th of July by going back and watching that video that will hopefully be there for many, many years to come. So I've switched over to the Bing's favorite. I've got a selection of 7 Ellies tonight. This is the closest thing that I have to the Friday 7 Ellie, but I really like that shape, so it keeps me happy. So let's see, we got another set of these written stories, and these are interesting because one of the things that I found really compelling about all the emails that I got and all the comments that I received to the various videos and everything leading up to this was just how far-reaching John's influence was. And it's not really surprising because John saw every one of us just simply as pipe smokers. You know, he didn't really see us as, well, he didn't see the world through filters. He just saw people that smoked pipes. And gosh darn it, he loved each and every one of them. And I think that kind of is echoed throughout the next several of these comments. So the first one comes from Chandler. And Chandler is actually his Americanized name because Chandler is Chinese and Chandler lives in China. And he writes the following. Years ago, when I just started pipe smoking, I tried to find pipe smoking videos from YouTube to improve my smoking skills. Of course, I found John's channel. Even though my English is only able to understand 70 or 80% of the content, I still very much enjoy it. When I watched a number of his videos, I got a question. I love this. It just makes me laugh. Why is this guy always smoking Friday 7 Ellie with some haunted bookshop? I just love that was the question. This haunted bookshop must be a very good blend. So I ordered 8 ounces and I ran out of it super fast. I got my lifetime pipe tobacco since then. Now I smoke at least 3 bowls of haunted bookshop every day. This is my best way to remember him. I just love that there's a guy sitting somewhere in China smoking haunted bookshop because of John. You know, John is, that's the kind of influence John had. Just amazing. This next one comes from our friend Kitty Maxboon, and Kitty is from the Netherlands. And Kitty writes, here is my story about how I came in contact with Matches860. I wandered a bit through YouTube and I saw a video of a tough man who smoked a pipe in his garden chair in a beautiful garden. I thought, it doesn't hurt to look. I was interested and it sounded calming. I then watched more videos of him and I learned the first things about pipes and tobacco. Then I started to get to know other people on his channel and also watched their videos. If I left a comment, he answered back. I felt so special. I am autistic and transgendered and a little shy, and I felt alone. But from that moment on, it all fell away, and I realized that I had a family on YouTube. And I just think that's really another beautiful story, Kitty. You know, Kitty was brought to pipe smoking through John's videos, and John was able to reach out and he, as he so often did, make someone feel special and feel like they belonged. Kitty goes on to say, it made me wonder how many people feel the same and feel like we are all family and friends. And Kitty, I think the answer to that is a lot of us. I mean, that's why there's so many folks here tonight, and that's why we all felt so strongly over the past few weeks. Next one is from my friend Father Herbert. Father Herbert is on YouTube as Holy Smokes, and he is a priest living in the Philippines. And Father Herbert writes, most of us in the community are mourning the sudden passing of our brother John Harden. I haven't had the opportunity of knowing him personally, except for a few enthusiastic shout-outs from him during some of his live streams. He is certainly a strong pillar of the YTPC, and his constant presence on YouTube is reassuring to many of us. I see him like a grand uncle, or something like a godfather, encouraging and always ready to help anyone in need of advice. He was also a good storyteller. I will miss him, and I will certainly pray for him and his family. The pipe smoking community will never be the same without him. And boy, that's just absolutely true. Thank you, Father Herbert. That was beautiful. So, in the same vein, of John being accepting and just basically seeing people for what they were, pipe smokers. He liked everyone. He even had time for little stinkers.
Mike, thank you so much for letting me contribute and be a part of this awesome tribute that you put together for this special Friday night live stream that you put together. Just really awesome that we're going to remember our friend John. He was a really special guy to me, and I'll never forget our first, what do you want to call it, transacting with each other, communication with each other, was actually the first video I ever did for the YTPC. I had watched a video that John did on plum cake. And in that video, he said, everybody gives plum cake a bad rap because they smoke it right out of the tin and they don't like it. And John recommended in that video that people take the plum cake and open it up, the tin, put it in a jar, let it age for several weeks, and then go back to it. So my first video in the YTPC was on McBaron's plum cake, and I did a video, and I said, "Hi, everybody. I watched this guy's video, and he said to do this." And I did it, and lo and behold, this is really nice stuff. And so John must have seen that in some way, because that Friday, he did a live stream, and I'll never forget this till the day I die. I said, "Hi, John," or "Hello, Matches860," or something like that on his live stream. And he goes, "Eric, the blue-collar pipe smoker. How you doing, buddy?" And I just couldn't believe it. It was like Babe Ruth calling your name out. Like, this guy's the Babe Ruth of the YTPC. And then he said, and I quote, "Hey, everybody, Eric, the blue-collar pipe smoker, has got a new channel, and he's doing a bang-up job. You should go over there and give him a sub." And I'd just done one video. And it was really amazing because I think overnight, I picked up like 50 or 60 subs. And I just remember just being blown away that he was that kind and that nice. And he did that for a lot of people. He really did. I think what I'm going to miss most about John is I would call him on Fridays because he was going to be going live in several hours. And when I got off of work, I would call him. And Mike, you're a very you're very experienced with my wicked sense of humor. I've got a wicked sense of humor, and I would call him, and I would get him rolling. We would just laugh and laugh about stuff, and I would put his picture, his face on very funny scenarios, and I would put those pictures on Instagram and on Artie's Place has a Facebook page dedicated to pipe smoking that's private, so you could join that. But John was on that, and Sarge and Savinelli, and I would put those stupid pictures of him up there, and everybody would just get the biggest kick out of that. Because he's our friend, he's our mentor and the Babe Ruth of the YTPC, and it was funny to see him with his face on such silly scenarios. And if I made a good run of them, maybe 4 or 5 the previous day, I'd give him a call sometimes in the morning, and he would answer his phone laughing, and he would say something like, "I was expecting this time you'd put my face on like a goat," or something like that, and he had that hearty laugh, and he would say like, "That was a good one," and I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss the humor and the laughs and the good phone calls that we had. And I won't go into too much detail of the last phone call that I had, but we had a really good hearty laugh, and I'm glad that the last time I talked to him, we were able to have a good laugh. And that's what life's all about, isn't it, Mike? It's about spending time with people and creating those memories, because if we go through life and we don't spend that time with people and we don't create those lasting memories, we go through life empty, right? So thank you for having me on. And I was glad to share this with you guys. So take care, and everybody, raise a glass and raise a pipe for our dear friend Matches. Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Well, thank you, Eric. That was a great memory, and we're really glad that you were able to share that with us. And I did warn Eric ahead of time that I was going to be calling him a little stinker, and he said it was just fine. We mean it out of love. So yeah, I saw, as I was watching some of the comments go by, I saw several people say, John encouraged me to make my first video, and it's amazing how many people can say that. It's and I can't. John didn't encourage me to make my first video, but he certainly encouraged me to make my second, because he was very quickly there and he commented, and second or third at least. So yeah, it's amazing. I wonder how much of our community even exists today because of his encouragement. It's really something to think about. So the last section that I've got here, and there's maybe 4 or 5 things here, including one more audio. These are things that are a bit more about the actual friendships that John forged. I mean, he forged real friendships with many of us, and making contact in the real world by phone or in person. These were really genuine friendships. And what I think really shines through in a lot of these stories, and you probably already know this, but the John you saw on YouTube was the real John. He wasn't in any way putting on an act or anything. He really was that guy. So this is a short story from Carl, or Olive Wood Piper, as we know him on YouTube. And Carl says, about 2 years or so ago, I asked him on a live stream if he ever had an olive wood pipe. He indicated that he almost bought one, but never did. Afterwards, I contacted him on Facebook and asked him for his mailing address. Typical of John's sense of humor, he stated that he hoped there was nothing ominous in my asking for it. He probably was worried he was going to get another batch of bacon old-fashioned. I sent him one of my early olive wood pipes and received a gracious note thanking me. Not only did he actually smoke it, but he made very complimentary video about it and always mentioned how it smoked Lane Ready Rub fantastically. Over time, John would occasionally shout me out in his live stream and invite anyone interested in an olive wood pipe to contact me. That was John, the quintessential gentleman, always thinking of others. My brother is not a pipe smoker, but he watched John all the time, and we would talk on the phone and roar with laughter at some of his videos, particularly when he spoke about his childhood friend Phil. Some time ago, I contacted John when he was anxious about retirement. Since I am retired, we shared some comments, and he seemed to be confident that all would be fine. That's the last one-on-one that I had with him. He will be sorely missed, not only by his friends in the YTPC, but by his loving immediate family and friends, colleagues, and folks in the assisted living facility that he cared about so much. Rest in peace, my friend. And thank you, Carl. That's really beautiful. And you know what you said there about John being the quintessential gentleman is true, and he helped so many of us. I can't tell you how many times I turned on his live stream just in time to hear him telling people to get in touch with me to get a pipe repaired. And I never asked John to do that, and he never asked for anything in return for doing that. He just was truly interested in helping folks. And honestly, I own one of Carl's pipes, and the reason I own it was John's recommendation got me so interested in it. So yeah, he was very special in that way. Yeah, Carl is a genuine guy. Absolutely. All right, so I've got one more audio file that I think fits in well at this juncture. And I think you will immediately know who this is.
Hey everybody, Sergeant Savinelli. So I decided that the story I was going to tell was about the first time John and I met face to face. So we had been going back and forth on the phone, texting and so forth for some time. And we decided that one Friday morning we were going to get together at my house. So the day shows up. And here comes John in his white truck, and he pulls into the driveway. I'm looking out the window because, I see the truck coming down the long driveway. So I go out and I meet him on the front porch. He gets out of the truck, and I went, "Hey, I finally get to meet you." And he went, "Matches860." And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah." I said, "You look a lot taller on TV." Well, it was like you'd hit him with a sledgehammer right in about the midsection. He starts belly laughing. That deep belly laugh, when you really got him real good. He'd get into a laughing fit. And we had a great, great first meetup. We went inside, had coffee, bagels, ate until we couldn't eat anymore, and we laughed the whole time. And then I got to be a cameo appearance on one of his videos. Sergeant Savinelli didn't exist until that day. It was that day that he came up with the moniker for me. And shortly after that meetup, I did my first solo debut video, all because of John. So I'm going to miss that guy. Thanks a lot for listening to my little story. Hope all is well with everybody. Take care.
Well, thank you, Sarge. That was fantastic, and I love that story because you can just see John laughing, and that's one thing John did well, was laugh. And I always enjoyed that about him. And also, we got to hear about the birth of Sergeant Savinelli, which is quite cool. I don't know if Sarge is still out there. Did anybody notice if Sarge had to leave or if he was still? Because I know he was working. Well, I don't think he'd mind me saying this. The family invited Sarge. John's funeral was private, but they invited Sarge and his wife to attend because they were such good friends. And I told Sarge when I heard this, I said, you've got to remember that you're taking all the condolences and prayers of the whole community with you. And he immediately responded, "Every single one of you will be with me." So I thought that was nice and typical of Sarge to know that we're all gonna be represented there. So I've got a few more stories, and what time? Yeah, we're just over an hour, so this is actually timing out fairly well. And these are all, you'll see, these are friends, these are folks that knew John very well. So they're a bit touching, and I wanted to save them for the last few. And then I got something I'd like to add myself at the end. So the next story comes from our good friend Mark in Rhode Island. And Mark writes, "Once upon a time, as they say, I indulged in the occasional pipe or cigar. This was before the advent of the internet. Did I just date myself? Sometime after the web established itself, I found YouTube. It was like magic. If I wanted to see a scene from a movie or a comedy series, a track from the 80s, one of those one-hit wonders, a theme song, or just about anything. I could find it on YouTube. I even found Christmas music that Kmart played overhead in their stores in the 60s and 70s. It was crazy, but I loved it. I have a love of Americana and nostalgia, and that's all I knew of YouTube at the time. One day I was wondering something about how to give a pipe a deep cleaning or something like that, so I turned to YouTube. Why not, right? Happily, I found many videos on the subject. As I glanced over the recommended videos pane, I started clicking through them. Among some others, I found some under the name Matches860. As Mike mentioned recently, my reaction was, what is this? As I watched different videos, I soon realized that there was more going on here than meets the eye. People were mentioning each other, getting packages, talking about meetups. This was not random. This was a community. I was drawn in and soon became hooked. My love of the hobby grew, as did the number of pipes I owned and the amount of baccy too. John's videos soon became some of my favorites. There was just something about them and him. They were just so interesting, funny, calming, and informative. Just like John, as it turned out. During one of his holiday videos a few years ago, he was talking about what a holiday blend could be, commenting with Bremen Pipe Smoker about his opinion. There was our community in action. He was saying it doesn't have to be a seasonal blend released during that time of year. It could be any blend. He went on to say if your grandfather smoked Carter Hall during the holidays and it reminds you of Christmas, then that is a holiday blend for you. It was spot on. Not only the concept, but my grandfather did in fact smoke Carter Hall, and it did remind me of wonderful Christmas memories. This guy is good. As time went by, I commented and John commented back. I got to know more of you and became an involved lurker. I got to know Brad, Pipes and Kayaks, he also being from Rhode Island. And then I got to know Sergeant Savinelli. None in person yet. About two years ago, there was talk of a meetup in Rhode Island in October, and I was invited. Wow, very exciting. I had by now purchased a Friday Savinelli, and I tried Haunted Bookshop to my dismay. More on that shortly. The day came, and I arrived at the rendezvous point and parked. I was the first to arrive. I thought to myself that after enjoying so many Matches860 videos, I was actually going to be in one. I had watched and rewatched so many of his videos. I really enjoyed the autumn and Halloween stories. And I glanced over 5 or 6 spaces and a truck pulled up. Behind the wheel was Matches860. It was like a movie star had just pulled up. As I got out to go and greet him, I realized that he does not even know me at all. But it's like I've known him for years. So I go and greet him, and I realize I've known him for years. I've seen his basement, his backyard, his cats. How do I handle this? John made it easy, of course. After about a minute, he was talking to me like I was his best friend. Brad joined us, and off we went. We got to the meetup place, talked, exchanged some baccy, then headed off for our adventure. We hiked down trails, got into the brush, found roads, got lost. I had a great time every minute, smoking and laughing together. All of you were there too, by the way. We talked about videos and friends and what a great community we have. We nearly got arrested. Sarge would have been proud. We made the video again, and what a thrill to be in it. A ghost in Foster, Rhode Island. We would chat or text from time to time, and we met up again, same place, same time of year. Again, a truly fantastic and memorable time. I was thinking it would become an annual tradition, but sadly that was not to be. Over the past year, I had become more and more a fan of Burley, even never thought it would happen. But I found myself liking it more and more, even Haunted Bookshop, although that is still a work in progress. I particularly remember that day John telling about my former and current attitudes on Burley and Haunted Bookshop. Believe it or not, I was a bit nervous. John laughed about it. Burley's may just need getting used to. I kept trying to tell myself we were all better for having known him, and that we were lucky to have known him at all. But that does not always help. I think I am still in disbelief. There were so many ways that Matches860 made an impact. So many ways he was a wonderful man. But right now, it's all just a blur. All we can do is remember him fondly, never forget him, and have remembrances and get-togethers just like this. Well, thank you, Mark. That was really beautiful, and I really loved that he described that first meeting, and his first meeting with Brad as well, a historic moment, if you will. And it was just so nice to get an inside view of that, and to sort of be taken along a bit, and also some background on that video, which was quite nice. And I should say that both Brad and Mark have been in touch to say that for various reasons they would not likely be able to make it tonight, and they wish that they could, but they'll certainly be watching us on the replay. So the final story that I have tonight, and I'm gonna give you guys some time as well after I finish this. So think about it. If any of you want to share a story, you can certainly do so in the comments, and I'll read it out. It's even, if you want to email me something, you can. But I don't want to cut this off if there's people out there that feel like they still need to say something. So the last story that I have written here is from Brad, Pipes and Kayaks, who is also from Rhode Island. And Brad says, the thing that stands out most is the first time I saw one of his videos, which was on Penzance. I watched it and then I commented on it, and he immediately got in touch with me and said he would send me some. I couldn't believe it. Next thing I know, we're exchanging emails, and he was encouraging me to do videos. And then I had question after question after question, and he would answer them immediately. He would always help me, and I would say, John, I'm sorry, but I got another question. And he would laugh and say, I bet you I know what it is, and I have another answer. Then the next thing you know, we started doing our meetups, and that was the beginning of a friendship that I will never forget, as long as I live. I can't stress enough that he was the same man in person that he was on camera, and he was truly a great friend. And thank you for that, Brad. It's really touching, and we know just how good the friendship was between you and John. We could see it in the meetup videos that you guys did, and with Mark as well. And I just, as I'm finishing up the reading here, sorry, I can't figure out which way to go with the camera. This is that picture from Ollie in Chicago once again, and I just thought that was really beautiful, well composed, and just a nice tribute. Yeah, that's true, Anthony. I've heard that from a lot of people, that the families knew John. They would hear one of us watching a video and come in and take a look. My wife certainly knew who John was, and when I told her of his passing, she was shocked. And that helps a lot as well, to be able to share the grief with someone. So I know this format is a little bit awkward for two-way communication, but is there anything that anyone else would like to add, or anything that you'd like to ask, or anything like that before we sort of wrap up? I'm doing well, Kitty. Thank you. I'm doing quite well. And honestly, I should say that one of the reasons I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to do this is that this was very, very therapeutic for me, and I hope you guys found some value in it. I'm seeing a lot of guys thanking me for doing it, and it was my pleasure. Without question, it was my pleasure. All right, guys. Well, before I lose you all, I want to add one more thing, and that is just a short poem that I'd like to read to you. And I'm going to read this and then I'm going to sign off. So this will be bringing us to the end. But I want to just say what I said at the beginning, and a lot of you guys weren't here at the beginning when I first said this. That we need to think of this not as a goodbye, not as a moment where we're saying goodbye, but as a moment where we're saying farewell, because we hope that someday we will be together again with John and Danny and with so many others that have passed on and will pass on in that great brick and mortar in the sky. So just think of that and know that as long as we keep their memories alive, they'll be with us. So with that, folks, I'm going to wrap up with this poem, and I'll just say thank you all for joining me tonight, and I'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday. And I need to put my glasses on. This poem is by Mike Jones, and Mike Jones was apparently, or is apparently, a folk singer. I do not know his music. I have never heard this as a song. I only know it as a poem. But it is by Mike Jones, and it is titled The Storyteller. I am a teller of tales, a spinner of yarns, a weaver of dreams, and a liar. I'll teach you some stories to tell to your friends while sitting at home by the fire. You may not believe everything that I say, but there's one thing I'll tell you that's true. For my stories were given as presents to me, and now they are my gifts to you. My stories are as old as the mountains and rivers that flow through the land they were born in. They were told in the homes of peasants in rags and kings with fine clothes adorning. There's no need for silver or gold in great store, for a tale becomes richer with telling. And as long as each listener has a pair of good ears, it matters not where they are dwelling. A story well told can lift up your hearts and help you forget all your sorrows. It can give you the strength and the courage to stand and to face all your troubles tomorrow. For there is wisdom and wit and beauty and charm. There's laughter and sometimes there's tears. But when the story is over and the spell is broken, you'll find that there's nothing to fear. My stories were learned in my grandparents' home, where their grandparents also had heard them. They were given as payment by traveling folk for a warm place to lay down their burden. My stories are ageless. They never grow old. With each telling, they are born anew. And when my story is ended, I'll still be alive in the tales that I've given to you. So thank you all for joining us, and in the immortal words of our friend John Harden, thanks an awful lot for watching. God bless you all.